The workshops are really a response to some feedback we have been getting from our students consistently over the years that our teaching in international development in Sussex is quite critical, which our students really appreciate, but it can leave them feeling quite cynical, quite disillusioned, and quite hopeless in terms of, I came to study ID because I want to make the world a better place, and all I'm hearing is it's not working.
And so part of it came from students wanting to have examples of people doing interesting things to kind of challenge the ideas that we look at in the classroom. So it's responding to that really and thinking about creating a space where we can explore people's stories, how they confronted really difficult challenges and found hope within them.
So we developed this concept of critical hope in our department to give students a sense of that even with that critical knowledge, they can make a difference in the world.
There are actually lots of people like us that want to move things, shake things, change things for the better. And what I love about this workshop series is they're hearing from people who are doing that work as well. And maybe they can see themselves doing things like that in the future.
Just from the moment I entered the room, the vibe was different. It's inviting, it's engaging. This is the first time I've interacted closely with people from undergrad and people from different fields and different experiences.
I really want to know how the local NGO or the local community-based organization, how they work. So I think the Critical Hope project give me the opportunity that I can explore.
When we do feel hopeless, we feel disempowered and we feel like there's nothing we can do about the problems that we're seeing, so why would we try? I think hope is really critically important for activism and for any type of social change, because you have to be able to imagine a better future in order to work towards it.
We need people teaching, we need people consulting, we need people doing voluntary work, and we also need people who are allies on the board of the World Bank. We need people in all of these spaces. So a lot of it has been that allyship.
The thought was, if not us, if not me, then kind of who's going to do this work? So I think it's very much that we all have a responsibility to leave this world a better place than we found it.
It wasn't until I had my child, I was 34, I really wanted to bring him up in the countryside, and I wanted him to have a good connection with nature, and I wanted to feed him well.
The events that led up to the opening of the Green Centre resulted in me having to stop. And by stopping and having an opportunity to look around me, then I was able to look at the current issues that we're facing as a global community.
So critical hope for me is students remaining hopeful throughout their studies, but not in a kind of a naive way, not in a wishful thinking kind of way, not in a white savior kind of way, and it's definitely practical and forward-looking.
It's about not being so desperate about the future or depressed about the future, and finding these pockets of hope and empathy within people and how they connect to different issues.
I don't just want to be hopeful in my thought. I feel that the criticalness of that hope is through action. So my action is food growing.
It's much harder to feel hope when you feel alone, but I think if you can find your people and find your community, I think that's where critical hope comes from.
You do not have to be the loudest of the person, but you can start small. Maybe a small conversation with your friends.
To be able to identify everything that's wrong in the world, but also to still believe that things can change and things can get better. I think that's critical.
But at its heart, it speaks to this idea that hope, again, isn't something that's just given, isn't just something that we can rely on when times are bad, but is something that we actively have to cultivate.
We shouldn't be passive about our learning. We should be encouraged to know that we have a voice and that we can change things.
So if you focus on being the best person that you can, hopefully people around you will be inspired by you and make those changes themselves.
reconnect with nature as often as you can, in whatever way suits you, whether it's walking through a forest or coming out to a community food growing group and touching the land that way.
I think the more I speak with people, the more I realise we've reached a stage of isolation in some ways, but those connections need to be rebuilt.
Everything can change, and there is a new world possible. Alone, we may feel powerless, but together, I believe we're unstoppable.